YouTube, what's going on, man? Today I want to jump into a topic that's very, very popular right now. I want to talk about trucking, right? I want to give you guys some distinct things that you need to know as far as, is trucking good for me? Am I going to be able to handle these things, these ups, these highs, these lows? And should I go ahead and invest and go ahead and make that decision? So first, I want to let you know what trucking is, how it works, what kind of money that you can anticipate making doing it. And then the truth about it from a guy who actually was in the trucking, right? From someone who actually owned a business, who bought a truck and things like that. So first, let's get into it. The type of trucking that I had and the one that I'm more specific with is going to be more or less 18 wheelers. I had a 2014 Mack truck. I bought it from a dealership, financed it at about $50,000. That's pretty much what I paid. I thought it was a pretty good truck, so I went ahead and bought that truck. Now, let me tell you, trucking, the type of business that trucking is, unless you have your CDL and you're able to drive the truck yourself, the trucking business is a type of business that you rely on other people to come in and do their jobs, right? So it isn't more or less a business that you can just come in and go instantly to being successful, right? You really need a good team behind you in order to have success in trucking. I don't care who you talk to, that's the 100% truth, especially if you're not the one driving the truck. As part of that team, either if you have your authority, if you choose not to get your authority, and authority just give you the right to carry all the freight across the highways. So they got the insurance. If anything ever happened as far as a wreck, they will sue the authority. They will sue the authority, not you as a person. So just depending on what you're trying to do, if you want to run under someone else's authority or if you want to go ahead and get your own authority, you got two different options right there. If you get someone else's authority, of course, they charge you a fee. Typically, it's between 15 and 35% of whatever the load or whatever that truck gross. That's what that authority is paid out. If you get your own authority, of course, brand new authorities, it takes about 6 months before you can actually grab loads, good paying loads from any broker out there that's brokering the loads so you can make money, right? So with that being said, brand new authorities, you're limited on how much freight you can carry because only so many companies will actually work for you and work with you because you're brand new. Of course, we know pretty much if you look around your room, everything that you look and see was brought off a truck. So with that being said, these trucks hold millions of dollars in their actual trailer at a time. If you think about groceries, if you think about a pallet of lotion, you know what I mean? If a lotion bottle costs $3 to $4, you know, if he got a whole pallet of it, he might have 300 or 400 lotions on one pallet. So that is a ton of money, which that means the trucking industry pays a lot to make sure that these loads get to where they are on time and they don't lose money by, hiring brand new drivers or brand new people in authority that don't really know anything about it. So that's the reason you got to kind of prove yourself with the trucking industry in order to get access to more loads that's actually on the load board. So with that being said, you got to be able to understand that it's truly a team sport with trucking. So with that being said, if you don't know if you can handle that with you investing, if you can depend on someone else, if someone not going to make up excuses, then understand if you're fine with that, you can live with that, and you got a lot of money, then it's good. Go ahead and get in the trucking. If you can ride it through some of the downturns, you can go ahead and get it going. Now, this is the biggest knocks on trucks, period. It's not the actual truck. And don't get me wrong, trucks do break down and they do have headaches. But from my experience, the biggest thing were the drivers. And you got to understand, these aren't high class individuals. These aren't people with great credit score or great credit or thinking about the future, right? These are people just trying to make it, right? So a trucker typically is going to be a loner. That means he's going to eat lunch by himself. He's going to sleep by himself. He's rarely home. He really don't see his family, right? So it takes a different type of person. If he's on the road 2 weeks at a time and then he's come home for a day or two and then go back for another 2 weeks, he's literally living in the truck, right? So these are different individuals who do this. A lot of us who stand on the outside of this camera aren't able to drive trucks because we understand that our home is a lot more valuable than being out on the road and making money, right? So it's no knock to those guys. My hat goes off to them. They give up a lot to do what they do and make that money. So with that being said, the biggest thing in my downfall were the drivers, and the reason it was the drivers because truck drivers are like contractors in real estate. So if you know anything about contractors in real estate, it's a ton of people cutting corners, not doing it specifically right, don't have that much attention to detail when it comes to the small things, always late, always making excuses, never on time for the most part. That's typically what we ran into. A lot of times I ran into people saying they was doing something when they really weren't. So with that being said, one of the things that helped me out in my business was actually getting a tracker on my truck. So I did not have to listen to what my driver said. I just know where my truck is. I know where it's moving. I know if he made it to this load on time because I can actually track that on my truck. I was using a device called Samsara where you can pretty much just jump on a computer, log in, and you can kind of see where your truck is at that moment. I also had an indoor and outdoor camera, so I know if my driver specifically is driving my truck or if someone else was driving the truck. So this is great if you're willing to do that. Now, other than that, besides that, that's if you want to go get your own authority, you're going to need to drive a truck. Now, there are companies that will hire the driver, put someone in there that probably charge around 30% of whatever the truck grosses, but they'll pretty much take care of the day-to-day of the truck. Now, with this option, and this is the option that I chose because I was already full-time in real estate, I really didn't have time to run a truck. The only downfall with this option is the maintenance. That's it. So if you can handle the maintenance on the truck, if they find the drivers and things like that, this will work great, right? For a lot of different people. Now, another downfall on this, and I'm not sure if I even explained the first one, but a downfall of this one is they cut so much of the checkout to their company when you have a ton of other expenses, right? So not only do you have the maintenance, but you have the trailer fees, you have insurance on the truck, which trucks need 3 different insurances. You need a bob insurance, bobtail insurance, you need trailer insurance, and then you got to have physical damage insurance, if I'm not mistaken. Those are the 3 insurance that you pay every month. You still got the overhead of a truck, so I recommend getting a cheaper truck. That way your overhead isn't that good. If you need some credit repair, reach out to me so we can get your credit right so you can finance the truck and the best interest rate, just in case you have some down months where you might need to pay your truck, but your truck note isn't that much. I made the mistake of having bad credit and buying a truck. So my truck notes on a $40,000 truck, my truck notes were roughly about $1,300, which is crazy. I was paying like 18%. All I can think about is how much the money the truck was going to make, but that's the wrong way to do it. I always come in the game prepared and doing it the right way, not just executing. If we're making a lot of money, everything's going to go right. You want to make money, but you also want to save a lot of money as well. So that's where you're going to make the most money on the long term, is when you save and on the truck notes and things like that, on the payments. So with that being said, you want to finance it correctly. Just understand, in 2019 was a tough year for trucking. So what that means is after everything was paid and my driver would run a full week, the truck was only grossing about $3,000 or $4,000. My take home after all expenses, paying my driver, paying my company that I ran my truck under, dispatchers, things like that, and all my insurances and all my overhead and all my different type of accounts, which it is a ton of fees in trucking. After that, I was only taking home maybe $200 to $300, right? Now, of course, I did have some downfalls every week. It was always something like a driver stealing gas. Driver say he's going to drive for a long time, but then he takes a break as soon as he dropped one load off. It was a ton of mishaps like that, having to get drivers out of ditches because for whatever reason, the driver thought it was smart to make a U-turn, and that ended up costing you, right? Because he got pulled over in the ditch. Now you got to winch him out. So it's always something. It never was a smooth week in trucking for me. But it's always something. So just understand, after everything was done and you sat on the phone with your driver trying to figure out if he's taking care of your truck or not, after everything was said and done, I was only grossing about $200. Now, right now, truthfully, is no better time to jump into trucking, just because the trucking market is booming. It's booming. And with that being said, it's a shortage of drivers, right? So whenever it's a shortage of drivers tend to cost more, right? They cost more. People want to sign them on. They got different sign-up bonuses. where they're offering $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to this driver if he come on and sign on with my team, because there's so much competition, right? So with that being said, just understand, give as much bonuses as you can if you're on the investor side. And of course, you don't pay the $5,000 up front. You pay it after 6 months, a year. He can start divvying into those accounts and just getting pretty much bonuses for you as long as he's running good and running up to the standard that you're comfortable with. But other than that, just understand that. So it's trucking for you. Understand that, hey, it might be for me if I'm able to withstand a lot of this stuff. It might be for me if I'm 100% committed into it. Also, as far as how much money you pretty much need, I'm gonna recommend that you go into trucking with at least 25. At least 25. Now, of course, you can finance a truck through like Long Mountain leasing. They'll actually let you lease a truck with like $3,500 down, so you don't need that much to get started as far as buying a truck. But the reason I say 25 to 30 is because trucking is a big boy. It's a big boy industry, right? So if for whatever reason your motor goes out, that's a $20,000 expense, right? So you always want to be prepared for that. If for whatever reason you have a flat on the front axle, your truck pretty much is out of there, right? It's going to be really, really expensive to get that truck back and running. That's why you always want to do the pre-check visits. Now, don't get me wrong, you're depending on drivers who probably don't do the pre-check visits, right? Or the pre-check, pre-inspection before they actually drive, right? So that's one thing that you want to watch out for, hire a smart, reliable driver. But just understand it comes with a lot of ups and downs. Pretty much it was a nightmare for me. I'll get that back into that one on another video. But man, just understand, can I handle this industry? It might be smarter to invest somewhere over here where I can possibly see the same returns. Kind of divvy that on that, or kind of weigh your options on that one. But trucking is a good industry if you know the ins and outs and you're prepared for what you're about to go to. But it's no trucker in the game who doesn't deal with bad drivers. It just comes with that. So just understand, is this something that I'm really willing to weigh my options on, weigh my money on, bet on myself with? And I was a guy, I had 30,000, I lost it all, and I had a repo on my credit. That's the main reason I started fixing credit. But if you're watching this and you're in the same situation as I was, go ahead and reach out to me, man. Let's get that repo off and let's get you in a better situation. Hey, man, thank you guys for watching. Take it easy.